When we put our focus on making our home life better and improving our lives, a lot of the time we are put in a position where we're having to make sense of the world around us and interpret what's happening. And oftentimes how we feel about something can trump our experience. This is why we buy things we don't need and why we fall for the wrong romantic partner and why we believe things that with 10 minutes of proper research would tell us couldn't possibly be true. Sometimes, though, we want to be fooled and we find ways to dismiss evidence for things that we don't like. Not everything we feel is true, and our feelings aren't necessarily interested in what's best for us. Feelings and our emotions change all the time, yet we give them tremendous power. Now, nobody has complete control over their emotions, but we can have better judgment by implementing some good habits. When we're presented with a cultural message, it is important to think about it. It's important to ask ourselves how we feel about it. And when we assess the validity of it, we should ask ourselves, what's the source? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a corporation? Is the person presenting it being paid to have this opinion? How do they treat people who think differently than they do? And most importantly, what are the best opposing arguments to this particular point of view? This way, you'll have a much better chance of getting to the truth and not being led astray by our emotions. In our modern culture, the term self-care gets thrown around quite a lot. And taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually is a great thing, don't get me wrong. But it has become, in our modern time, directly tied to overconsumption and the profit-driven motives of corporations. It's been reduced to expensive skincare, jade rollers, scented candles, and expensive teas. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying these things, it's only part of the story, and it's not the most important part. But it does need to be recognized for what it is, and that is a form of escapism. It blocks the world out for a moment, and that can be good sometimes, but you need more than that. You can't evolve or thrive with that. The current self-care model causes people to be consumers, telling us we can buy our way out of grief and exhaustion. And as a society, many of us are driven by these beliefs, and we become even more depressed and anxious when it doesn't work. And we start to blame ourselves, thinking, this isn't working. I bought all of these things, and it's supposed to alleviate my grief and exhaustion and anxiety, and it's not happening. And that's because all of these fixes are temporary and unfulfilling. Real self-care can look different for each of us, but it is a multi-pronged approach. There isn't going to be that one thing that you can buy that'll fix everything. But one thing you can do that's effective is to look out for your future self. For example, you could look at your past self and your future self as friends that are cooperating together for the benefit of each other. For example, you could say, I'm going to set up the coffee pot tonight and get breakfast ready to go in the morning because future me might want to have a more leisurely morning tomorrow. So I got this. Or I have a little extra money this month. Let's put it into savings so future me can feel more secure. Self-care can also look like reaching out and talking to someone, journaling, spending time in prayer, exercising, eating well, keeping up with your health appointments, or maybe polishing up your resume so you can apply for a different job. Doing this type of thing can motivate you to do tasks that will help nurture a tomorrow you. Also, advertisers and social media are telling us that we should be looking to celebrities so that we can follow what they're doing, what they're buying, and what they think about certain issues. But try sitting with people who are committed to personal growth, and I guarantee you the conversations will be different. There's a lot of information and advice out there on the art of saying no and setting up healthy boundaries for others so that we don't feel overextended and taken advantage of, so that we have our time to spend on things that are important to us. And this can be a good thing, making the best use of your personal resources and your time. However, what is also very worthwhile and what we hear fewer people talking about is the art of saying no to ourselves. Sometimes when we say no to the people around us, every now and again, it can elicit a reaction or a negative response. And the same thing can happen with ourselves. When we want to release an unhealthy habit or we want to gain more discipline around a certain area of our life, it can elicit a negative reaction and create some tension within us. One thing I've learned is that whenever we give in to a behavior that we need to avoid, that particular thing grows stronger, and whatever that behavior is, we've let it win, so it gets reinforced and it grows. This is why we have to be so careful with what we say and what we allow into our lives and what we do on a regular basis, because this is what shapes us, this is what structures us, and this is what makes us who we are. But also, in the same way, anything that you defeat becomes smaller. Every time you have a victory over that negative thing and push that thing away, the less powerful it becomes, and it shrinks because you don't let it win. But if we can work to overcome that, it ultimately creates a level of respect for yourself and improves your life overall. So if we can get control over our inner thought life, it can pave the way for the direction of our life. And this is an ongoing process. We need to constantly be renewing our mind, because we don't do anything unless we think of it first. So set your mind on the highest possible good for yourself, your loved ones, and your home. We all have a story, and some of those things that we've experienced, things that we've done or not done, some of those things are really good and can serve as a wonderful illustration for others. Sometimes the story isn't so good and it serves as a cautionary warning. And if that's the case, where some of our stories are a cautionary warning and you're still here, it can be turned around into a wonderful example. And quite frankly, these types of stories are the kind that are the most moving, the most inspiring and poignant and heroic, because they show introspection, growth, and change. In my experience, I've found that most people's lives are broken pieces put together. And just like when you see a mosaic piece of art made out of shattered tile or glass, it can be put together and made into something of real beauty. While there's something to be said for avoiding unnecessary pain, we shouldn't be trying to elude it at every possible turn, because pain and failure in some circumstances can be a tremendous teacher. Now, this may seem counterintuitive, but if at first you don't succeed, count it a blessing. Reaching success at something right away is a lousy way to learn, because now you don't know how to troubleshoot. You don't know what it was that you did that worked, and you don't know how to achieve the same result in a different way. The achievements that we tend to value the most are the ones that we struggled with in the beginning and then ended up mastering. We tend to enjoy our success more and make it more repeatable if it's the product of deliberate practice. We as humans are designed to climb uphill, and we are oriented to reach goals. And a great place to start that climb is in your home. Make it a goal to bring order out of chaos. Take up a sword, so to speak, and fight those little monsters that stand between you and a better home life. The more you do it, the better you'll become at wielding the sword, and over time you'll become more skilled, and then you'll be ready to take on the bigger obstacles. So pick up the sword and start swinging. I really am passionate about helping make your life and your home the best it can possibly be, and that includes being discerning about all the messages that our culture sends us. So with that being said, I value you very much, and I appreciate you spending some of your day with me. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next one.